Today it's all about innovative ways to sell poultry and how you can sell more of it. It's all about selling coming up. Welcome to Grassfed Life. I'm your host, Diego, D-I-E-G-O. Today's episode is brought to you by the Grassfed Life Insiders, a community of people who have committed to supporting the production of content just like this. For just $5 a month, they enable the podcast to continue, in addition to getting access to an ever-growing resource library, all about profitable livestock farming. And part of that library of resources are episodes like the one you're going to hear today, because today's an insider-only podcast episode. So if you want to hear this whole thing, you have to be an insider. If you enjoy the show, if you benefit from the show, please consider supporting the show by becoming a Grassfed Life Insider at grassfedlife.co/insider. Today's part 2 of the mini-series episode with farmer Luke Groce of Groce Family Farm. And what you're going to hear about today are the results from his experimental method of selling turkeys by size category. I don't want to give too much of this episode away, but as a bit of a preview, the results from that experiment were positive. So today we're going to get into the nuanced results of what it was like to sell turkeys by category. We're going to talk about applying this strategy to chickens, and we're also going to get into wholesaling chickens as a way to try and move more product off of your farm if you're only selling retail. There's a lot in this one, so let's jump right into it with Luke Groce of Groce Family Farm. Late in 2018, we talked about the new way that you were going to be selling turkeys, and you were going to be selling turkeys based upon weight categories, weight ranges. Small, medium, large. At the time when we talked, it was a hypothetical reality. You hadn't seen all the results, but you were actually doing it and going for it. Now we're in December. Thanksgiving is come and gone. We're going to look back and see how did it go. So looking back, what are your thoughts just from a very broad view on selling turkeys by size category?
We were really happy with it. I think that the decision to do both small and large turkeys left our customers really happy, and that was maybe even a bigger deal than doing the set sizes with the simple pricing. I think that was good, and people did like it and seemed to respond well to it. But just the fact that we had those 13, 14 pound birds, I think was where we saw a lot of that really great satisfaction from people who had not had that itch scratched in the market yet. And so, but in all, yeah, it was a good turkey season. We're thankful.
And if you look back at the actual production numbers, when you look at the final weights of the birds that you produce on farm, roughly where do they fall percentage-wise into small, medium, large category? You know, if that's 100%, where's the ratio in each of those?
We ended up with, it was roughly, I want to say it was something like 30% of the large birds, which is in the 19, 20, 21 pound range. And then something, I guess, close to 45% on the medium-sized birds, which we kind of marketed as 14 to 18, I think. And then everything under that would be another 25%.
And where did demand collaborate with that? You know, if you have, say, let's say it's 25, 45, and 30, was demand pretty equal if you overlaid that?
Yeah, it was pretty close. The retail bell curve ended up being pretty similar to that, and then our wholesale customers, we ended up picking up a second one since we talked. And they had a bunch of customers who really wanted more small birds, and they kind of, and their other farmers that were producing even larger birds than what they had initially thought. So they sort of canceled some of those orders and came to us and said, "Can you please give us some of those small turkeys? We really need them." So after we ended up giving our wholesale customers that sort of small to medium sized range, that the whole suite of customers ended up very pleased with their sizes, and we pretty much had exactly what they were looking for across the board.
And those ranges themselves, so you've mentioned a couple so far. So small is under 14 and a half? Is that where the cutoff was?
Under 14, I think, 13.9 and down, I think is kind of what it looked like.
And then how small did that go on, like the small end? What's the total low weight turkey?
The lowest weight turkey, I think, was just under 9 pounds. We probably had, we ended up grinding a couple of the smallest ones, but we ended up giving some folks small ones, like those really small 9-pounders, and they were happy with them. That's what they were looking for. But in the end, the sort of chaff at the end of the day, the stuff we didn't find a buyer for, and we didn't want to saddle anybody with something that was that high of a price per pound if they weren't into it. We had a few of those 9-pound turkeys, which are kind of the runts, I guess, and they made some people very happy. And we wholesaled a couple of them, but then we also we just ground a few of those to get them into something that we thought we could try in a different sale method. So yeah, the 9-pounders were the bottom end, and we figured out what to do with those too.
Okay, so on the bottom end, you got 9 up to just under 14. You have 14 to, was it 18? And then 18 and above are your large?
Yeah, I think it was like 18.9 kind of fit in that all the way up underneath 19, and then 19 and up was our large category.
Yeah, so going into this, I mean, some of my thoughts were, one, can production match demand? And it sounds like it did. When you overlay the two bell curves, there was enough of a match there that it was functional. The other component to this that I saw as a potential challenge is the economics of it. Have you done a comparison of if you had retailed every one of those birds at a set price per pound, selling them by exact weight, where would you have came out versus the way you actually did it, selling by weight category?
Yeah, I haven't punched that in. It wouldn't be terribly hard to do. I mean, in the end, we produced, 1,559 pounds of turkey produced us $8,251 of revenue.
What would you sell that for? That $1,559 at a pound if you're going by pound?
I think last year we sold for $6.50 a pound because we're kind of new to it, and I know that this year we ended up lower than that on our price per pound because we knew that we could make profit without having to charge it that high. But I was kind of aiming for the $5.50 to $6 per pound range as sort of being the end what we ended up with on our retail side. So that $8,250 worth of revenue on our turkeys included the 33 that were wholesaled, I think at like $465, and then the rest of them were all retailed at that price that we talked about.
Yeah, so just doing the math, it'd come out to $9,300, but you have to factor in, you'd have to do some more in-depth math to factor in the wholesale birds and throw those out because you're going to be selling those at less than $6 a pound. So at the end of the day, it probably comes out pretty close. I mean, in logistically, how much better was it? There you have it, Luke Groce of Groce Family Farm. If you want to continue listening to this episode, you have to be an insider to do it. If you are an insider, simply log into your account on Teachable, and there you'll be able to gain access to the full episode with Luke Groce. If you're not an insider and you want to hear the rest of this episode, or if you're not an insider and you want to support the show and get the rest of this episode, then go on out to grassfedlife.co/insider, and there you can sign up to get access to this episode in addition to many more and a whole bunch of other resources while supporting all the free episodes that we'll continue to put out. You can learn more about becoming an insider at grassfedlife.co/insider. Thanks in advance for any support, and until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.